Hello everyone, welcome to my video. Here I have the 3 different movements that I'll be discussing in this video, along with the dates of the corresponding artworks that I'm going to be talking about. I'd like to explain that the artworks that you're about to see in this video, I've chosen because they're very influential for the time, and as well as personally some of my favorites. So without further ado, let's get into the video. I want to begin this video by showing an excellent piece of post-impressionistic work, and this is called The Portrait of Dr. Gachet by Vincent van Gogh. Artists such as Van Gogh rejected interest in the observed world and advocated for abstract form and influenced radical modernist exploration. It began to show a window into the artist's mind than traditional art. In this portrait of Dr. Gachet, Van Gogh wanted to elicit mixed emotions and impressions in the viewer and appeal to the heart rather than the mind. It goes without saying that in this movement, artists wanted to leave an impression on the viewer, and that is something that technology could not deliver. Next, I'd like to discuss a very important and deeply influential movement in history called symbolism. This artwork you see here is called Death and the Masks by James Ensor. James Ensor instilled lifelike qualities in this work and showed this through the spiritual hollowness in the mask that represented the bourgeoisie and decadence of the times. Ensor wanted to return to a more pure and natural local carnival and festivals that he grew up with, but he realized that tourism, commercialization, and industrialization would prevent this. Symbolism was an escape from materialism and technological innovation of the time, while symbolizing this in art. Leading up to World War I, many artists were growing dissatisfied with the obscureness of symbolism. But personally, the deep symbolism that this art displayed was becoming too enlightening for some to appreciate. So the desire to resort back to primitivism was inevitable. Last but most certainly not least, I'd like to call attention to an important movement called primitivism. This work you see here is called Les Demoiselles d'Avignon by Pablo Picasso. It is important to note that the word primitive cannot exist without the idea of what civilized means. It prioritized pre-industrial times and the relation to nature as its primary importance. As urbanization and industrialization were on the rise, Enlightenment authors such as Jean-Jacques Rousseau and Johann Gottfried Herder encouraged a more primitive way of life as a way of detachment from these upcoming developments. The term noble savage began to circulate as society was seen as corrupt. Even though Les Demoiselles d'Avignon is one of the most famous examples of primitivism due to its African artistic influences, Picasso would dismiss this claim. I'd like to end this video with some interesting comparisons and differences that I found between each of these artworks and their movements. Each movement begins to see an increase in societal and technological influence rather quickly. It begins with the rejection of technology in post-impressionism and begins to be accepted in symbolism, and finally it is questioned in primitivism. However, it seems that all of these works wanted to instill a certain idea or feeling within the viewer. Over time, those ideas changed with the time period and what was important to the artist. It is amazing what an influence of New Age knowledge and need for certain goods in a country's time period can have impact on an artistic movement. I'd like to end with leaving you with 2 different questions I have for these movements. Number 1, why was symbolism and what it stood for becoming rejected toward the start of World War I? And 2, why was technological advancement more impactful in some movements over others? Thank you for listening.